And one more question,
Sure,
please.
fire away.
I'm working on this client who
Mhm.
has arthritis on her left knee.
Okay.
Pain level has been going down gradually, from 8 to 7 to 6, slowly. And then we're now at 50% at 4.
Okay.
Is there anything we can do? I mean, age will probably factor into this. She's in her early 60s.
Okay. When you
Uh,
say arthritis, are we talking bone on bone? Are we talking spurring? Are we talking swelling? What is
Rheumatoid.
it? Oh, rheumatoid arthritis.
Yeah.
Um, she doesn't have it in her hands or her feet or anything like that, but she has it in
No.
her knee.
She has gout though.
Okay.
So
Okay.
she
But it's
she
not
has the joint.
osteoarthritis. It's not osteoarthritis. It's not like the
They didn't,
cartilage is wearing down or anything like that.
yeah. They didn't diagnose it as that, but she's going to
Yeah.
have
They just
X-ray.
said arthritis.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's probably osteoarthritis. So,
Off.
okay. So, is there swelling? Or are we aware that there's swelling?
Um, Not on the knee itself, and her feet, ankles, I think, with gout
Okay. And she has flare-ups from time to time with the gout, or is it pretty constant?
from time to time.
Okay. So, do things that are cleansing to the kidneys.
Okay.
You
Love
know,
it.
you have your pH stuff that you can do, but like lovage, parsley, celery, sandalwood. Sandalwood's really good for cleaning the kidneys. Just any version of that.
Okay.
And then with osteoarthritis or just arthritic knee, you kind of want to be able to go through and rotate things, because you're dealing with different things. When there's an arthritic weight bearing joint, osteoarthritis just simply means that the cartilage is thinning, like basically the cushion and the space are reducing, and then
Mhm.
it starts to generate like inflammatory material and like irritation in and around the joint. And usually that is because either an injury or a lot of deposits in the joint, or in and around that joint, there's a lot of inflammation, or there's a lot of tension and spasms. Could have been from activity, like if they were a runner or something like that. That could also cause issues just from the exercise that they did maybe when they were younger. But the cartilage is the thing that you try to save if there's still cartilage there. Like if there's no cartilage there, you just keep cleaning the area lymphatically and reducing inflammation. If there's still cartilage there, you still do those two things, but you increase circulation while diminishing spasms in a weight-bearing joint that is degenerating. And so the issue being that when there's a lot of tension in and around the joint, it reduces the blood flow into that joint, and the cartilage doesn't have its own blood supply, and
Oh,
it needs to stay hydrated. And so what happens is, if there's tension in and around that joint, which the body will do to protect a joint that's compromised. So if it's arthritic, you're going to constantly have to reduce spasms in and around that joint.
mhm.
But it doesn't allow for the blood to get in, and so that accelerates the degeneration of the cartilage. And so things like rosemary, cedar, pine, especially Sylvester pine, because you have a couple of things here. The rosemary and the cedar are going to increase the circulation, and the cedar is going to help blood move from the area. The rosemary will help blood get into the area, right? And so that combination is always solid. And I'd like to add Sylvester pine to this, just because it's good for joints, it's good for spasms, especially arthritic type spasms. But the thing with the Sylvester pine is it does help the body produce a little bit of natural occurring cortisone, which a lot of times when people are having issues like this, they might get a cortisone shot, which is a
Mm.
steroid that helps to reduce inflammation and things like that. And so, you know, when you either put silvestropine on the area or even like 4 or 5 drops on the wrist daily will reduce some of the pain as well and some of the inflammation, because it induces like a steroid effect, right? You
Mm.
doing work on the kidneys also will do that as well. Like there's certain types of like Asian bodywork practices that what they'll do is, like, when the person's laying down on the table, they'll use their thumb or they'll use their palm, and they just like gently keep pushing down over the area of the kidney, not quite right by the bone, but they'll go out a little bit, and they'll keep just like compress for about 10 seconds and then release, and then compress and then release, and then compress. And what that's doing is that also is stimulating the production of cortisol in the body. And so it's any way you do it, you're trying to generate cortisone to reduce some of the symptoms, right? So you could also add the like juniper, but that joint relief blend, like that's what
Yeah.
that's made for, is getting
Perfect.
blood
Yes,
to, getting blood from, and reducing spasms, right? Then if there's like spurring or deposits, and deposits can be uric acid, lactic acid, you know, little bits of material, inflammatory material, you want to flush that out. So the lovage by itself will do it, or the Arthrocare blend will also do it.
Okay.
And just rotate them.
Okay. Rotate Arthur and Lovage. She got the body.
Like either one, either lovage or
Oh.
either Arthrocare. You don't have to do both. Like just it's an either or. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
She got the body but
perfect. Like, yeah, keep using the body tonic, and then you can put that on, let it dry, and then put an ointment of the joint relief, and that should help pretty substantially. There sometimes can be other issues. You know, sometimes they'll start to be like puffiness or swelling in and around the joint, like the bursa sacs, which are little sacs that lubricate the tendons and things. They'll start not functioning properly, and they'll start to be like, they'll call it like fluid on the knee or water on the knee or something, where it starts to puff up a little bit. German chamomile can be very good for that, like in a strong ointment, and then just cover that. It will reduce the inflammation and help to disperse the fluid so that the body can, you know, deal with it. And then the other thing that can potentially happen is they'll actually get a form of tendonitis. You know, it can be a lot of times on the back part of the lower leg, like the upper thigh, like the lower hamstring area. So if you go to the crease of the knee, like about that high up, like that area can be really prone to tendonitis. And so just a simple combination of Eucalyptus citrodora and helichrysum mixed equal parts will reduce the tendonitis quite substantially with even just a couple applications.
Oh, okay. I think I made that for myself.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Cool.
Yeah, that stuff feels good, by the way. Like,
it does.
I was on a kick for a little while where I couldn't go a day without just dousing that blend on myself. But
and that was Eucalyptus citrodora and helichrysum.
Correct.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Got it. Thank you so much, Greg.
You're so welcome. You know, the German chamomile sometimes will also help the tendonitis, but I usually go Eucalyptus citrodora and helichrysum. And if it's still like stubborn, or if there's still a lot of puffiness in the knee, I'll add just a little bit of German chamomile to it. But usually the two is all you really need.
So blue healer is okay to.
Oh yeah.
Instead of German chamomile?
Yeah, especially if there's not a lot of fluid retention, but like if there starts to be like just like stubborn fluid retention in the knee. I mean, even the German chamomile won't completely knock it out sometimes, but I usually go just straight German chamomile and make it really super strong and then rub it on a couple of times a day. And eventually it will flush it out. I mean, there's many times where it didn't, but it depends on like how toxic that area is, and it depends on like their body. Like, you know, sometimes it's too much lymphatic stagnation and it's just hard to disperse it. Because like when things are bone on bone, you know, you want to keep treating it lymphatically as much as possible, because
Okay.
the bone on bone will keep generating inflammatory material that at first inflames the area. But at some point, you see this in knees and you see this in hips, it starts to release this inflammatory material and it becomes systemic. It goes throughout the whole body. And so then you start getting inflammation in like the
Alright.
shoulders, the ankle. I mean, it just hits everywhere. The place where it starts to be really bad is in the internal organs, because you're not even really aware of it. And so you're always trying to keep that inflammatory, boy, I can't even say that word right now, inflammatory material down. And one of the ways to do that is that Lovage body tonic. I mean, it just is so detoxifying to the body. It just, you know, kind of makes the body suck it up, and then you basically pee it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wonderful. Thank you so
Yeah,
much, Greg.
You're so welcome. And if you still need to troubleshoot more, let me know. But you know,
Okay.
the thing with arthritis, it's, you know, it is a compromised joint.
Uh-huh.
It just needs constant attention. Like, you know, especially when it's osteoarthritis, it's just always going to need something. Like, even if you go, oh, I didn't treat it for a week, but you're going to need to treat it soon. Like, you know, you don't get to walk away from it, like treat it and it's just going to be done. It's just something that needs maintenance over a period of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're so,
And then go ahead, Laura, then Shraddhananda.
hey, Laura.
Hey, Greg. Well, that was
Mhm.
perfect for me, and I wasn't even going to ask that question. So
Oh.
because I'm bone on bone with both knees. But
Yeah,
I'm
so
having,
like, with that, the thing that I would add is just also anything like you still do all those same things, but you know, if you don't have a lot of inflammation, you don't really have to work the German chamomile. You know, the German chamomile is very good for you know, stimulating white blood cells and helping to clean that area up. But
and I
when it's
just got a blood test back, and she was concerned about my white blood cells.
that they were too low or too high.
Too low.
German
No,
chamomile, like start taking German chamomile, like a few drops a day, 2, 3, even 4 or 5
Internally?
drops. Yeah. And then put it on topically on those areas. Yeah. It'll boost your white blood cell count up pretty. I mean, unless there's something else going on, it will boost it up kind of quick.
Well, that's
The other
that's interesting.
chamomiles, not so much. The German chamomile, think of German chamomile, like the other chamomiles are nice and they're soft and they're soothing. And German chamomile can be that way, but German chamomile is kind of like in that realm, like the Marines that hit the beach. Like it's the tough guy out of them all. You know, we're still talking about oils that are kind of soft, but when you're dealing with like something that's immune related or inflammatory related, where something needs to be cleaned up, or you need to clean up after you took a bunch of antibiotics or something like that, German chamomile just comes in and just cleans house.
3 to 5 drops internally, and then some
Yeah.
topically.
And like, you know, if it feels like you're in a bad flare up, you could probably double that. I mean, I wouldn't do that all the time, but if you're in a little bit of a crisis, you could double that.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that was